A pleasant day, everyone. This is Princess Christine G. Gonzalez of First Year Bachelor of Elementary Education, and now I will be discussing the organizational structures of the Department of Education field offices. Let us know first what is Department of Education. Department of Education, abbreviated in DepEd, in Filipino, Kagawaran ng Edukasyon. It is the executive department of the Philippine government responsible for ensuring access to, promoting equity in, and improving the quality of basic education. It was mandated through Republic Act 9155, or also known as Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. So, it is the primary agency in charge of managing and governing the Philippine basic education system. It is also the chief formulator of the Philippine education policy and responsible for Philippine primary and secondary education system. This is the seal of the department. DepEd number 63 series of 2011 elaborated its symbolism. So, outside section of the seal features the department's name written as Kagawaran ng Edukasyon and the country's name written as Republika ng Pilipinas. And the shield has the appearance of an open hand. It portrays the Department of Education as loving and nurturing organization. Leaderships and excellence are symbolized by two sea lions holding an open book over a plate. The open book and the lighted torch illuminating the Philippine archipelago signify the quest of knowledge and application of DepEd instilled ideals and skills in every Filipino. The colors of the seal are based on the Philippine flag. The color blue significance of peace, red is burning desire to learn, yellow is quest for knowledge, and last is a white background, significance of your intention to learn. So, let us proceed in our main topic. RA 9155 or Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. So, RA 9155 or the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001 has evolved through time in the Philippines to fulfill the goals, requirements, and expectations of our educational system. This is why the Educational Governance Act of 2001 was enacted. It entails bolstering principals and leaders' goals in school-based administration while retaining transparency and local accountability. August 2001, Republic Act Number 9155 or RA 9155, and instituting a framework of governance of basic education. So meaning it signifies some adjustments or a new framework in the Department of Education have been made as a result of this law. Establishing authority and accountability, renaming the Department of Education or DepEd and Department of Culture and Sports or DEX as the Department of Education. So, this indicates that RA 9155 not only outlining basic education governance, but it also renames the Department of Education to Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. So, for example, on 1975 to 1978, the department called Department of Education and Culture. In 1978 to 1984 naman, tinawag ito Ministry of Education and Culture. Noong 1984 to 1986, tinawag itong Ministry of Education, Culture, and Sports. On 1987 to 2001, tinawag itong Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. And now, kilala natin ito bilang Department of Education. It provides framework for the governance education, decentralizing governance to the field and making the schools and the learning centers is the heart of the educational system. The law also established the authority and accountability of the various organization levels of the Department of Education or DepEd. So this means that the reason for the necessity of governance reconstruction is to spread out power and responsibility so that all the department subordinates work in accordance with the central office down to the regional and local levels. So to carry out these mandates and objectives, the department is divided into two parts, the central office and the field offices. The central office maintains the overall administration of basic education at the national level, meaning that central office is responsible for handling of the country's basic education needs, while field offices are responsible for the regional and the local coordination and administration of the department's mandate. In other words, field offices are responsible for disseminating information in order to oversee the coordination and administration of the department's mandate from Region 1 to Region 17, which includes the Caraga region, the National Capital Region, and the ARMM or the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. But since our discussion is only about field offices, we will only focus on field offices. So, Office of the Secretary at the Central Office has a different strands, services, bureaus, and centers. Let us know first the strands. So, we have 5 strands. The first is curriculum and instructions. It guarantees that the organization's primary focus is on providing a relevant, responsive, and successful basic education curriculum, which is supported by all other strands and offices. Second is finance and administrations. So finance and administrations ensures efficiency so that firm as a whole may focus on its core business and meet its objective by providing financial and administrative services. Third is governance and operations. Governance and operations enables the organization's ability to develop and be strategic in controlling the environment in which teaching and learning occurs. And the fourth one is the legal and legislative affairs. So this trans improves the organization's ability to handle legal challenges and be proactive in moving the legislative agenda forward. Last is strategic management. So it allows the company to focus on long-term objectives and interact with internal and external stakeholders. Let's move forward in services. First is administrative service. So, administrative service will hold a team that will provide timely, cost-effective administrative services to the school division office in the areas of personnel and records management, cash disbursement, procurement, property security and custody, and building maintenance. Second is financial and management services. So, financial and management services, it's all about financial resources that determine of budget, requirement, and accounting of department funds. Third is human resources services. So, it guarantees that the area has qualified employees by developing and implementing a comprehensive HRD strategy and programs that include the provision of high-quality, long-term HRD services or the human resources services. So, sa bureaus naman tayo, we have 3, the elementary, secondary, and the non-formal. So, Bureau of Elementary Education or BEE, Department of Education or DepEd. The main thrust of the Bureau of the Elementary Education is to provide access, progress, and quality of elementary education. So, it offers fundamental education, information, and to build the foundation skills, attitudes, and values na pinaka-importante na ituro para sa personal growth ng mga bata. And para mas mag-grow pa sila, it also develop the responsiveness and awareness. The second is the secondary. It's simply responsible for providing access to quality secondary education and also to enable every elementary graduate to access the secondary education. So, secondary education has served a variety of purposes throughout history, including the preparing young people of productive employment, forming responsible citizens, selecting candidates for higher education, preparing students to be healthy parents, assisting youth in their social development, teaching mathematics, science, and of course, social studies. Si non-formal naman is responsible for contributing to the improvement of the poor through literacy and continuing educational programs. So, non-formal education, also known as ALS or Alternative Learning System. So, it can include programs that promote adult and adolescent literacy, as well as programs that teach life skills, career skills, and social or cultural development to out-of-school students or children. So let's proceed in centers. The first one is the National Education Testing and Research Center or NETRC. So they are the pioneers in educational research, evaluation, and assessment, as well as information on the design of educational policies aimed toward the achievement of the empowered and international competitive Filipino. So they are providing tests like National Elementary Achievement Test or National Secondary Achievement Test and Philippine Validating Test at marami pang iba. Second is Health and Nutrition Center or HNC. So they are relaunch the breakfast feeding program sa mga schools to address the malnutrition problem at pagkagutom ng mga students in the public schools. Third is National Educators Academy of the Philippines or NEP. So they are use information system to store, to collect, to monitor, at i-analyze yung mga data para malaman nila at makita yung pagpa-participate ng mga teachers and school leaders sa learning and development programs and mga courses at saka mga iba pang professional development initiatives. The fourth one is Educational Development Program Implementing Task Force or NSTIC. So they create prototypes of scientific teaching equipment and materials that are tailored to the curriculum and tested for learning efficacy before being adopted by the school system using indigenous materials and locally accessible technology. And they also provide user manuals and experimentation instruction for scientific teaching equipment as well as create and regulate standards for science teaching equipment and materials in our nation and help the private sector. Last is Instructional Materials Council Secretariat or IMCS. So they ensure that all public elementary and secondary schools have access to high quality and reasonable cost educational resources when they are required instructional materials. At the subnational level, the field offices consist of following 16 regional offices, including the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or ARMM, each headed by Regional Director, a Regional Secretary in the case of ARMM, 157 Provincial and City Schools Division, and each headed by a School Division Superintendent. Assisting the schools division offices are 2,227 school districts, each headed by a district supervisor. Under the supervision of the school division offices are 48,446 schools. So, we have 40,763 elementary schools. It's divided 36,234 public schools and 4,529 private schools. A total of 40,763 elementary schools. And sa high school naman or the secondary schools or secondary education, 4,422 public schools, a total of 7,683 secondary schools. Yan. So, thank you for listening. I hope you have learned something today kahit medyo nahirapan din ako maintindihan yung report ko.